greatest gateway to sin is not temptation. The greatest gateway to sin is boredom.
Now, y'all already know me. I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to Jamal Bryant and his theology. But the Lord can use even the most heretical people to actually give something that could be beneficial. Now, listen up, man, because this one's going to be especially for y'all. Let's check it out. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is a channel where we speak on things biblically, politically, and socially, trying to find a true, seek understanding, and be the light. It's your boy, Big Bleu, and this was actually going to be interesting. So, like I mentioned, you guys already know that I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to Jamal Bryant and his preaching and his theology and all that good jazz. To me, he's more of a civil rights leader than he is a pastor. But that doesn't mean that the Lord cannot use him to say something prolific, something that especially married men need to hear. Especially married men of the word need to hear, because this is very important. Actually, no. I can't even say that. Just men in general, because this can affect the married man of the faith. This can affect the married man that's not of the faith, and this can even affect the single men. There's no man that is excluded from this information that we should heed. So let's go ahead and check out the video and see exactly what Mr. Jamal Bryant is talking about. Let's check.
Kierkegaard said something, Jasper, that messed me up. He said, the greatest gateway to sin. Preachers, I need y'all to lean in, zoom in on this. It's going to help you. Soren Kierkegaard said the greatest...
It should be to all men, not just preachers. Preachers, yeah, fair, but all men.
Gateway to sin is not temptation. The greatest gateway to sin is boredom. You think about how much stuff we did because we were bored. Mm-hmm. Not because we was tempted. Yeah. But I ain't got nothing to do. Yeah. And so you got to find something purposeful and passionate and productive in order for you to plug in, or else you will be an agent of self-sabotage.
Interesting.
2 questions.
I don't like the fact that he's going to dive into something else, because this is prolific. This is imperative for men to hear. Like, this isn't something that we should just allow to slide by. This is a moment. This is an actual moment to actually get information out to the men that's watching this podcast. So, again, going back to what I was stating before, I would say that boredom has a very high chance that'll lead to temptation. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say that boredom is greater than temptation, but I would definitely say that majority of the time, if you're going to be bored, it's a very high chance that you're going to be looking at something or doing something that you probably shouldn't be doing. And I'll say that from experience. Most of the time when I was dealing with my sin, when I was dealing with my lust, it was in the sense of boredom. Now, it got to a point where I was so tormented by the grip of lust that it didn't even take boredom at that point. But we as men are not meant to be sitting idle, not for too long. The problem that I'm seeing with the world right now is that it enables us, it gives us the opportunity to be bored, to be idle, to have downtime. Now, granted, I don't know how much downtime that the men had back in the day when they were farmers, when they were merchants, when they were fishers and stuff like that. But my understanding is that from sun up to sundown, you were working, operating, you were doing something. You were doing something. There really wasn't much idle time unless you were a beggar or something like that. But now in today's world, there's time to be idle. There's time to, just sit idly. There's time for men to have dead thought, have nothing going on upstairs, which is interesting because, especially for me, I dream for those times where I don't have to think, because my mind is just always constantly working. It's constantly working. That's also one of the curses that we had because of Adam and Eve. To the point that I'm making here is that we see this happen in biblical times through the great kings. We see this with King David that we're about to look at. We see this especially with King Solomon, with all the wives that he's had. Even though he was the wisest man ever, still had issues with lust, issues with sin. But specifically what we're going to see with King David, let's go ahead and bring up the scriptures itself. This is going to be 2 Samuel 11, verse 2 to 5. It happened late one afternoon. Late one afternoon. We're talking about King David here. When King David arose, late one afternoon, the King David, he wasn't getting up from his throne. He wasn't leaving the war room. He wasn't, getting off of his chariot because he came back from battle. When David arose from his couch and was walking on the roof of the king's house, he saw, because he was idle, because he had nothing to do, because he was just chilling, he saw from the roof a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. And David sent and inquired about the woman, and one said, Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? So David sent a messenger and took her, and she came to him, and he lay with her. Anytime we're talking about laying or knowing somebody in the Old Testament, they sleeping together. Now she had been purifying herself from her uncleanness. Then she returned to her house, and the woman conceived, and she sent and told David, I am pregnant. So once again, going back to that list that I was just talking about before, how this could be detrimental to the faithful husband. Because one, you're being unfaithful. Normally this would lead grounds to divorce. And it's like this is the ultimate betrayal. You laying with another woman, ultimate betrayal to not only yourself, but ultimate betrayal to your spouse, and then ultimate betrayal to God when you made the covenant of being married to a wife. Now, it's different with David because he was a single man who did this to another man's wife. So then that becomes the issue with the single man who is seeking out another woman who just so happened to be somebody. And the worst part is he was told this was somebody else's wife, and yet he still pursued. All of this stemmed from him being idle and not having anything that he needed to work on, anything that he had to do. Granted, this is probably the benefit of being a king. You just have these opportunities to just be able to just chill out. That could be the case. But at the end of the day, it led to the temptation that God specifically said, do not do. But he was overcome, even though he was favored by God dearly. Once again, we see humans fall to sin. This is not something that, and I'm not even gonna, let me not even go to the point of saying that this is not something that we should be doing, because again, men fall into these things. Women fall into these things too, but I'm speaking specifically to the men, because once I can reach out to the men, then I think we can get things, situated with them, and then work on with the female as well, coincidentally. But I also don't know these things from a women perspective, so we'll just say that women can also fall to this. But I think it's specific to men because the idleness comes from not having anything to do, not having work, even though God had told Adam initially that you are to work these lands. And then on top of that, he cursed Adam with, we are going to be working tirelessly to sweat and bleed while we work and stuff like that. So in this sense, it is not to the fault of David that he was idle, but because he was idle, that led the doors open for the temptation. Because us as men, we become idle, that leads to the doors of temptation. Not to say that temptation, that idleness and boredom is greater than temptation, but there's a higher chance to sin when we are idle. Well, okay, let me not put it like that. There's a higher chance to be tempted and thus sin when we are idle. And I say this from experience myself, dealing with flesh, dealing with lust. All of those literally comes from idleness. Those urges come from idleness. And then they just happened so frequently that it then became, it felt like it was a part of me. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, because I know women are not really going to get it. But it's like, you go somewhere, and it got to a point where I literally couldn't look at certain things because the temptation is just the sin itself, the lust itself was just so prevalent within my mind that it then became a thing of not just a matter of being idle, but more so now being a matter of, if I see it, now I feel like I got to go get it. There wasn't enough space for the spirit to come back and be like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? And this is kind of what Jamal Bryant was saying. When there's an emptiness, there's nothing going on upstairs. There's nothing that we're working towards. There's nothing that's allowing us to go out and be mobile and think and actually occupy our minds. This is when the evil, clean spirit is able to return. This is when he's able to come back and be like, yo, there's nothing going on here. Let me go ahead and set up shop. And yo, my guy. Come, yo, check this place out. Come see this place really quick. Then next thing you know, your mind is once again filled with the thoughts. When you thought that you were in the clear, when you thought that everything was just cleaned from you because of idleness, the spirits then return, trying to seek up residency within your mind because you weren't working. You weren't working. You weren't working towards something. You weren't reading your scriptures. You weren't praying. You weren't being diligent in the things that you're doing on your day-to-day. You weren't being diligent with providing for your family, trying to build up an inheritance for your family. You weren't bearing fruit. You just weren't doing anything. So why won't the spirits try to just come back and just set up shop? They don't have to use you to destroy other people. They just want you to keep on doing things, keep planting these evil seeds within your mind so that you can feel guilty for yourself. And once you fall down that pit of guilt, it's hard to come out. And now you're thinking about God less. You're thinking about your family and doing for them less because you're sitting in guilt, and it just keeps on adding and adding and adding. It's all a thing, man. But this is for all men, not just for pastors. Interesting enough, guys. Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. And if you've even caught yourself in these situations where idleness led you at the doorsteps of temptation, or idleness has allowed temptation to come to your doorstep. Let's put it like that. Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Peace.